Okay, I want manga to end. No, yeah, I hear you. It was a very clickbaity title, huh? But no, seriously, like, okay, so this video, I'm going to talk about a lot of mangas have been announcing, they're in their final arc, or the end is coming. One Piece, My Hero Academia just entered their epilogue arc. Jujutsu Kaisen said it was going to enter its final arc. Black Clover is... Listen, what I'm saying is, a lot of shonen, because honestly that's what I kind of keep up with, so that's what I'm going to talk about, is starting to enter their final arcs. That's not a bad thing. And the reason it's not a bad thing is, for one, hey, listen, the manga is expensive, all right? And with manga being expensive, a series going to volume 50 once is okay. 10 series going to 50 plus volumes, it hurts the wallet. Listen, you guys know this. You're looking at yourself right now like, yeah, I know, I get it. Seriously, though. Like, I actually, when I started looking into kind of manga that were ending, I started thinking, you know what, though? That's okay. Because now, don't get me wrong, I think the author should tell their story and should be able to tell their story. And hopefully, the series gets popular enough to complete their story, which, if you keep up with, like, the Weekly Shonen Jump, which is the app's a good way to do that, is some series get about 12 chapters. And it's... And with the series that kind of popped in my head, the Jujutsu Kaisen, Black Clover, the One Piece, all that stuff, they have been popular enough to tell the story that the author wanted to tell. And I think a lot of times, you think about TV shows, right? There's a bunch of TV shows I'm sure you've watched, I know I've watched, that you kind of wish would have maybe ended sooner. You're like, man, seasons 1 through 5. It's perfect. Seasons 6 through 10, listen. Not great. Listen, it's okay. It's not great. And I think manga is an interesting medium for this, is because it's one of the few, because if you think of movies, you might get a trilogy, you might get 5 of them, they might come back 20 years later and do another one. And books, you might get, a few in the series, but there's years and years and years apart from when they were released. Manga, with the scheduling, it's chapters every week, or maybe there's a 2-week break in between there, but relatively it's a non-stop machine. So I think what happens, at least I can speak for myself as like a manga collector, what happens is you start looking at your shelves, and even if you kind of enjoyed a series, you're like, well, I only have wallet space for 3 50 plus volume series. All right, listen, I can't go more than that. I'm sorry. I like you, okay, but I'll read you digitally. You know what? Listen, I'll read you digitally and support you there, but pure space is a problem when it becomes longer and longer series. And I actually think, if you look in the past, a lot of the big popular titles went for 72 volumes, 60 volumes, 106 volumes is still going, more than 100 volumes and no sign of slowing down. Case closed. Detective Conan, I'm looking at you. So for personal reasons, I'm kind of glad that series is wrapping up. And I'm kind of impressed, right? Okay, this is going to be a stretch, but just follow me. All right, if you look at different entertainment media, let's use movies as an example, right? And I know they're way more expensive. I know they're millions of dollars. I get it. There's a lot different, but hear me out. The way that some media plays it safe and kind of franchises and things of that nature, I was kind of curious how Shonen Jump in the now times would feel about huge series ending. Would we see series continuing even past where the author wanted to go? While I don't know all the, backroom dealings and stuff that goes on there, but just speculation. If you do know kind of more how the manga entertainment industry runs, let's talk in the comments down below, because I would be so curious about that. I didn't know if they were going to let some of their big names, the My Heroes, the Jujutsu Kaisens, the One Piece, kind of end. I feel like Oda is a little different, but let's just use like My Hero as a perfect example. My Hero, I would beg to argue, got a lot of people into anime and manga. It is one of the most popular series. Now, regardless if you stuck with it or not, I truthfully believe those seasons 1, seasons 2, the first 20 plus volumes of My Hero were pinnacle for getting new readers and watchers into this medium. Because if you think about it, My Hero came out at the perfect time. The Marvel boom was crazy, and this shonen show about a group of kids that have quirks or superpowers was perfect. My Hero is such a perfect storm. Like I said, I'm not saying where the story goes. If you fell off, fell on. But that time got a ton of new readers and watchers in here. And that's why I was curious if they were actually going to kind of keep pushing it, or if the author maybe felt like he needed to run it 100 volumes. And while I think the long-running Shonen Jump series is a thing of the past, I actually do believe that we are going to see more and more series go 20 or 30 volumes instead of 50 to 70, 70 to 90. But JJK and My Hero and Black Clover, those were the kind of the last of that era that could run that long. And so that's the other reason that I'm really glad that manga is ending, right? Is because it kind of shows that they are not afraid to lose the big hitters, the guaranteed reads. And I think that just makes it so much more exciting to see what new is coming, And I'm not talking like Sakamoto Days at this point is really not new. I'm talking about the series that the Kakurabachis, even though, listen. Here's the thing about Kakurabachi, man. So it took over the internet. I did a video on it. It took over the internet, and it kind of became this meme. And I think I even talked about it in the video of like, it might hurt it because it's kind of solidified with this meme thing that's going on right now. But you know what? I personally have not really kept up with it, but the people that I hear talk about it, it's actually might be really good. So I'm kind of excited for that first volume to get physically released and give it a read through and see if it's actually like, after the hype and the meme of it all, like, is it actually a fun, entertaining series? But that's what I'm talking about. Those series that they kind of want to take a chance on, they want to get new stories in. Because I think if they didn't, we wouldn't really hear about these endings. Again, maybe we would, and maybe the authors have a lot more pull than I think they do. But if the editor's like, hey man, listen, I hear you. Yeah, whoa. You want to end it. I get it. But what about like 30 more chapters? That's all. 30 more chapters. We'll see where we are from there. Back the truck up. Can we just back the truck? Just back the truck up. We're fine. Just back the truck up. And as a reader, I'm excited. Because honestly, and while I have been really enjoying, those series, the Jujutsu Kaisens, the Black Clovers, the One Piece, and all that stuff, I'm really excited for what's next. Like, what is the next generation of stuff when it comes to Weekly Shonen Jump? As a reader, I'm like, yeah, I really enjoyed these characters or really, enjoyed this thing about this series, but I'm feeling like the end is coming, and I'm okay with it. And once again, let me reiterate, my wallet is okay with it. Because the great thing, and this is just a me issue, I think, maybe it's you too, but really a me issue, once I get to a certain number of volumes, usually around 8, I'm committed. Listen, I'm following you, even if I don't even like the series. I'm sorry. Listen, it's the collector brain clicks in. You're like, listen, man, you're already 8 in. You're already 8 volumes in. You might as well see it all the way through. You might as well go to volume 40. I know you stopped kind of liking it around volume 8, but what if in volume 20, oof, that's where it happens. That's the peak at volume 20. You just got to get there. That's probably a me thing, but I do feel that way. That collector's brain, like, I can't drop this series. I'm already 8 in. It's going to get better. I remember the days of volumes 1, 2, and 3. They were so good. And so it's kind of nice that I can kind of put that final volume on the shelf and sit back and appreciate the series. And also, the longer the series gets, I kind of don't want to reread it, especially if I feel like the ending is coming. Because then it's like, all right, as long as I kind of know and kind of kept current and kind of know what the story is going on right now, I'll read that final thing. And if it lands, then you get the fun thing of like, I'm just going to binge read this entire series now that it's complete. That's a great feeling. When you put that final volume on the shelf and you read it and you kind of know where the story's going, you're like, all right, in like 6 months, I can come back here and read volumes 1 through 50 and binge read this whole series. Oh, it's going to be so good. It's going to be so good to do that. When One Piece ends, I will read that final chapter digitally. Then I will buy it physically when it comes out. I will read that, I will get the story, and we're going to run it all the way back. Like, we're just going to run it back through. And it's kind of nice to know that these series will have that ending. Because again, with manga, you kind of never know if the axe is coming, if the cancellation is coming. There's been a few series that kind of have been like, okay, listen, kind of start wrapping it up because you got like 5 chapters left and then we're going to have to cut you out. But I think I kind of forget sometimes that at a point, some of these series maybe didn't have the option to end. And now to see that it's gotten so popular that people are not only anticipating the ending, dreading the ending. That ending of that series that means so much to you kind of being complete. Especially if you get into a routine. I'm a very routine person, You get into that routine of like every Sunday that new chapter drops. And I read it every Sunday. I've been reading it every Sunday for, a decade at this point. But that's why I think we get so connected to like a TV show or a manga series or something, is because when you get into that weekly habit, it's kind of like, I don't care how bad my week's going, I can sit down and watch this thing, or I can sit down and read this chapter. And I don't know, for me, it kind of is, it just feels good, I guess is the best way for me to put it. It just feels like I can let it go. The new chapter of this series dropped, or this new episode of this TV show that I'm really invested in. I can kind of just forget what went on during the week, and I'm reading this. So I get why people dread endings of stuff, because it's part of your routine. It's part of your life. Especially a series that has gone on for a decade. It could have gotten you through middle school, high school, college, your first job, your first breakup. Like, there's so many things when these series have gone on for so long, and they can mean so much and so many different things to different people. And so I get why manga endings can be kind of scary, right? Or kind of like, I don't want that to happen. And I think the other reason, to be honest with you, is what if they don't nail it? What if they don't nail that ending? What if that ending for this series that is so beloved just kind of doesn't land? And while I always like to give people the benefit of the doubt, especially these creators that have created such unique worlds and unique stories and incredibly popular series, they know what they're doing. So I kind of always give them the benefit of the doubt. And I think as long as they have the time and the backing and support to finish the series the way they want to, I think it will land. Now, people might not like it and might not agree with it, and that's a whole other conversation we can have. But I don't know. I'm not nervous about series ending. Like, what am I gonna read? Like, what if something's not as good as this? Yeah, you're gonna have your favorites and your not favorites, but I'm more excited than anything to see what a batch of new creators and new storytellers and new visionaries in the manga space come up with. And I'm absolutely ready. Again, I'm older, so I've been through the endings of the Narutos and the Dragon Balls. Listen, I've been there. So I've been through it, so maybe that's why. It's not like my first series that I fell in love with is ending. Because I know that there's going to be another series. While it might not be as good and you might not like it as much, there will be other series and there will be entertainment. I don't know. There's something really... I know it's going to sound crazy, but there's something really kind of beautiful about a series ending the way it wants to. and a series meaning so much to people that it actually gets the opportunity to end. And while you might not be looking forward to it, are you just a little bit excited to see what's next? I know I am. But I don't know. I mean, it's just, I started reading a bunch of news articles about like series ending and getting into epilogue chapters and final arcs and this and that. And I just really wanted to talk with you guys about it. And how do you feel about a manga series ending? Are you kind of glad to be like, woof, I can move that money and move it around in the manga budget? Because again, if you don't know this, which I know you do know this, manga is expensive. But yeah, I don't know. Let's talk in the comments down below. How do you feel about manga's ending? And as always, I hope if you have a bad day, it gets better. If you have a good day, it becomes fantastic. I'll see you next time.